happen. And yung dinidiskarte natin, tawag ko ng diskarteng Pinoy. Yung Pinoy may diskarte, may kaya tayong gawin na ibang tao hindi nila ginagawa because they don't have to. So, that is what I believe we did with the windmills. Diniskarte namin, Pinoy style. That's the way I think we need to approach the problems that we're facing. That we have to be more objective, we have to be more logical. Since we're on this subject anyway, look at the power crisis that we're having now. Here in Luzon, we don't feel it yet. I was in Mindanao, I was in the Visayas, talagang 8 hours na. Kung 6 hours sila, in one day, swerte na raw sila. And, everything just shuts down. Everything shuts down. Now, why did we get into this situation? Because the determination of what kind of power generation we should adopt or we should encourage or we should invest in the Philippines, those decisions were made on a political basis. This is a technical and scientific question. You cannot solve a technical and scientific question by answering it in politics. And that's why we are here. Because linalagyan ng kulay lahat ng desisyon ng gobyerno. Linalagyan ng political color. And to have a coal-fired or oil-fired plant of a certain size, that decision has nothing to do with politics, has nothing to do with what party you belong to, has nothing to do with who's running against your brother for mayor. But that's the way we decide things that's the way we've been deciding things. We have been telling the Malacanang, we have been telling the government, we have been telling this administration for years that this was going to happen. And they have done absolutely nothing. And I don't know, now they're going to talk about emergency powers. And my facetious answer to that is that why? If Gloria has emergency powers, will she make it rain? Is there going to suddenly be water in our dams? Of course not. But that's, of course, a facetious answer. What, in fact, do they want us to emergency powers for? What will they do? The last time we had emergency powers for power crisis, we ended up with power barges. We ended up with the PPA agreements that we're still paying for up to now. And we continue to pay for power that we didn't use at an onerous, completely luging-lugi ang gobyerno. We had power barges, which is probably the most expensive way to produce power. And so, in essence, using emergency powers to answer a power crisis has been a bad experience for us. Knowing that, let's learn our lesson and let's not do it again. So, we just have to come and think about what needs to be done. Now, power plant, how long does it take to put up a power plant? Let us say the government decided today that they were going to put up, you name it, oil-fired, coal-fired, whatever, power plant. It will take a minimum, let's say 5-6 years. You have to decide on the design, you have to bid it, you have to find the funding, you have to actually build it, you have to train the people. That takes a long time. It's not going to solve this crisis here today. What is available to us? Bataan. Naku, everybody jumps up and down. Naku, nuclear power. But again, let's think about it, at least talk about it in a sensible way. That is the classic example, the Bataan nuclear power plant. That is the classic example of a technical and scientific question being answered in a political way. And I believe we came to the wrong answer. And that is clear because we now have a power crisis. If the Bataan nuclear power plant was allowed to go online, we would not have this crisis. And now it is there. It sits there, it's available, it has been maintained. My good friend, Congressman Mark Poangco, has been campaigning very, very hard, and quite rightly, that we should at least think about rehabilitating it and putting it online. It never went online. We have since discovered that Ramos sold all the fuel rods pala without anybody knowing, so that will extend the lead time. So that is a solution. Okay. Now there are people who don't agree with that. They say that nuclear power is somehow unsafe. We make all the arguments that the sister power plants in Korea have been producing power for 20 plus years without any problems whatsoever. And in fact, they are ordering 6 more, I believe. And Korea has in that time also become a supplier of components for nuclear power plants. But that's another story. In any case, if those arguments are still not acceptable, my question to those who criticize nuclear power as a source, as a solution, my question to them is very simple. If you don't like that solution, what's your solution? Anong kapalit ninyo? Now, it's all very well to sit back, lang kwenta yan, hindi pwede yan, hindi, yan. Okay, ayaw ninyo yan. Ano ang kapalit? Where will we get the power that nakulang sa ngayon? You still have to answer that question. And so, that's why it's nice to be outside government, because it's very easy to criticize. But when you're in government and when you're supposed to be running the thing, you have to find those solutions. And sometimes there are no easy answers. There are no popular answers. But the answer, you still have to provide an answer. So I am trying to, I'm ventilating this because for me, we need to discuss these things and we need to provide an answer. And this is a possible one. And once again, if people do not agree with me, that they think that nuclear power is somehow unacceptable for whatever reason, then I invite them to provide an alternative. So yes, the windmills do work. That's the short answer is the windmills do work.
Congressman, going back to the corruption thing you were saying a while ago, I've been in the Senate for 12 years and I handled some of the senators' projects. How would you prosecute government officials or politicians? Example na lang sa projects. Pag big budget yung project, alam na natin kung saan dadaan, lahat binibigyan from the governor to the regional director, district engineer, mayor, COA. How would you prosecute such ganun kadaming taong involved sa isang malaking project?
Then sampulan mo. Find a big guy and go after them. Everybody will fall in.
Who would prosecute, for example, a senator?
Well, at the very least, it has to be investigated. It has to be exposed. Hindi naman pinag-uusapan. It's all, okay na may usapan na tayo for the boys. We've all seen that. But because pinapayagan we have to do business in a different way. You cannot, if you allow it, it will happen. If you allow people to steal, they will. And so, don't allow them to steal. Who will prosecute the senator? Masigasig na presidente. Masigasig na prosecutor. Masigasig na soldier. Yan naman ang dapat nilang trabaho So, again, then we can go back to the more to practical solutions, like I said. So if there are projects, it's well agreed and well understood how much a certain project will cost. If it doesn't come under that cost and in time, then the contractor doesn't get paid. It's that simple. I'll give you an example. Because I'm from local government. You know that many projects are done as we call it, the terminology is by administration. In other words, if I'm a governor, magpapalagay ako ng kalsada, ang gagamitin ko yung mga engineer ng provincial government, yung mga trabahador ng provincial government, the equipment of the provincial government. Why is it that any project by administration is at the very least 30% cheaper than the same project in the Department of Public Works?